Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield with Manny Things, and welcome to another episode of Manny Talks Shooting, the show where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you enjoy this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Things. Without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Manny Talks Shooting. Today, I'm honored to sit down with my friend, Mr. Tim Dunderi. How are you doing, Tim?
Good.
For all of you who don't know on internet land, this is Tanfo Timmy. So one
The
of the
meme
lords.
machine.
Ooh, yeah, you are a meme machine.
It's fun, like I have a quick mind and a quick wit, and I just make funny stuff sometimes.
Yeah, well, we have to. I mean, it keeps the internet moving. If it's a slow news day, we got to have memes.
Got to stay relevant, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's probably my problem. I probably post too many dog and food pictures. That's what makes my interaction go down. But that's all good.
You cook a lot of breakfast that looks very delicious.
Dude, I make a fire breakfast. My wife doesn't cook breakfast anymore because I was like, I don't know. One day I just I'm hungry. I was making breakfast, and it seemed like I made breakfast the next day. And guess who's not making breakfast anymore? The wife. But it is what it is.
I was seeing your breakfast by the time I'm already at work, and I'm like, oh man.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't get up very early. I work that second shift life, so.
Oh, that's right. I'm like a right in a mid shift, like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Ugh. I used to work those 11 to 7s, and those were always the worst. I hated those.
Oh yeah.
But I digress. For the
Yes.
people on the internet who don't know who you are, who is Tanfo Timmy, and how did you get into shooting?
I'm just a regular guy that likes to try to be funny. I got into shooting first. I think it was 2017. I was like, I should probably buy a handgun. I'm more than old enough to be able to buy one in the state of Minnesota. It's reasonably free here. Got into that and saw the price of ammo. Even back then, it wasn't bad, but so I got into reloading almost right away. And I was reloading a lot and shooting a lot of just random fun stuff, basically FUD stuff, if you want to go down that path. And I listened to some podcasts at the time that were like, if you're doing a lot of reloading and shooting, you really need to get into any sort of competition. So one of my coworkers, Chad Swartout, he's a big 3-gunner, works with Memorial 3-gun, awesome guy. He got me into a local USPSA league, and I shot my first entry-level intro match, I think in early winter. No, it would have been January of 2018. And then right then and there, I knew I was hooked and been going crazy ever since.
Yeah. So what did you start reloading on then?
A single stage Lee breech lock.
Oh, that must have been rough for pistol.
I don't know. I already had, my daughter was already born at that time. So it was I was in that period of kind of being a homebody. So, and I'm also a busybody. I like to stay busy and have things to do. And I'd always rather be involved and engrossed in something. So at least I was home. I might be in the basement cranking out one pistol round every 3 minutes, but I was home and I was doing something. So it didn't bother me for quite a while because I didn't shoot anywhere near the volume I do now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now from that lead, did you go to a turret, or did you go straight to a progressive after that?
Went to a Lee turret, and that wasn't terrible. And then once I got serious about USPSA, it was pretty no-brainer to buy a XL 650 with bullet feeder, case feeder, and now running Mighty Armory dies, which are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Now you haven't upgraded to a 750 yet? You're still rocking that 650?
What purpose does it serve to buy a 750? A priming system that's a little safer but doesn't work as good?
I don't know. I haven't had any priming issues.
I always hear people whining they seem to bend that control rod that comes off the press. And I mean, it might be in the works to get a 1050 or an 1100, but I honestly don't mind pulling the handle. And the direction I might go is that Nick Gross, I think he's V-Team Engineering on Instagram. He's working on that super awesome kind of a budget auto drive, much more affordable than most of them. I
Okay.
would
Yeah, I know
probably,
what you're talking about now.
I would
Yes.
really like to try one of those out just to keep up with the volume I load
Hmm.
because my shoulder hurts all the time in the winter.
Well, you have a kid. I mean, they can crank the handle.
No, probably not. There's 4 and 7.
So they can load the hoppers. That's about it.
Yeah, right.
Bullets
They
in
do
this
like to
one.
do that for about 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah, that's true. I can't get the dogs to load my feeders though.
I mean, you could try, but it's probably gonna wind up being more work than it's worth.
Well, yeah, because I'd have to pick them up to then. Yeah, too much
Yeah, I
work.
was thinking about making a bullet feeder for my bullet feeder the other day. Like the bullet feeder gets empty, I have to take handfuls of bullets and dump them in there. So I need a little conveyor belt on the bench that'll conveyor the bullets into the bullet feeder.
Yeah, that's true. That that's that'd be interesting. We'll figure that out. We'll make something like that. We'll get it done. Now, Tim, have you taken any formal training?
I've at first I think it was, what would that have been? October 2019. I believe I did a Ben Stoker class over in Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
and that really jump started me into being reasonably good at diagnosing what's going on with my shooting, and gave me a really solid basis to work off of. I went to the PSTG summit this summer 2021, and that was also really, really valuable, hanging out with guys like Mason Lane and Jason Bradley and Joel Park and Wansa Kim and all those guys was just invaluable in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to that in 2022.
Oh, it's a must attend, I would say.
Yeah, long as the components keep rocking and I can set components. The problem is I want to set up enough aside for the summit because you don't want to go to the summit and run out of ammo.
Absolutely. I wish I could share your pain, but I'm like kind of irresponsible when it comes to that kind of stuff. I just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, and that's about the only thing I concentrate on outside of spending time with my family.
Right. Now, what level or what level of shooter were you when you first took that October class, that October 2019 class with Ben?
Um, kind of normal B class, trying to break into A. I qualified or classified initially as a B, and because I'd shot pistol plenty for like 2 years beforehand, and it was always I've always been a hoser, to follow their language. I've always liked to go fast, to just go as fast as I can, and you know how B class works. You can go really fast and miss half the stuff and still be B class, or shoot all the things really slow. But yeah, I started out right solid B class.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I wish that was my initial goal when I got first classified, but what happens when they add weak hand and strong hand only in your first classifier match ever is not pretty.
Ouch.
Yeah. But it is what it is. But now you went to you went to the summit this year, well, 2021. What was your favorite or most enjoyable block of instruction?
Um, it's really difficult to pick one. Um, they were really insightful in their own like categories. I did a block with Matt Hopkins about, he's just got a very simple and straightforward dry fire program.
Mm-hmm.
3 minutes on, 3 minutes off, I believe, where like trigger control at speed, you do that for 3 minutes solid and your hands are just dead by the end of it. So you really start making those silly mistakes you might with tired hands. So you really have to concentrate that much more.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kind of a target transition demonstration class with Jason Bradley. That really opened up my eyes to looking to a spot and how you can really evaluate and push your transitions, and you can learn by your hits. Run a drill 3 times, and if you're constantly hitting tight groups but off the A zone, you know you're just not looking at the right spot. You can kind of learn how to self-diagnose a lot better. And then the Finding 100 drill with Mason. I learned that I'm basically always already shooting near 100%. So whenever I try to go faster than that, it just crashes and burns.
Yeah. That if the listeners, if you haven't heard of Mason Lane's Finding 100 drill, go check it on YouTube. There's a very in-depth explanation of Finding 100. So you shall.
Oh, and it helps that Mason is so articulate in explaining things like that. He's just a phenomenal shooter and instructor.
Yeah, for how young he is. That's crazy.
Oh, totally. I didn't believe it when I learned how young he was. I was like, you're a baby, man.
Yeah, he is the baby out of that group. Him and Jay Beal's not much older than him, but damn.
Yeah.
We did get some listener questions. I'll ask a couple later, one now, and that was why Tanfos?
I initially started shooting a Glock, and it just wasn't. I didn't like it. It never fit my hands very well. I have my hands are on the bigger side, noticeably big, I guess, for whatever. Mm-hmm. And CZs, it seemed like everybody had a CZ, and I was like, what's so special about these? And then you kind of the only guns I really saw were like the Acu Shadows that were like $1,800. And then I saw Tanfos, and I started researching them more and saw that Ben Stoker shot them, and the price was good. Especially if you don't mind doing a little bit of gunsmithing yourself, you can really make nice guns for cheaper than some of those Shadow 2s. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Ben Stoker can't be that wrong with what he shoots,
Right. That's true. But he did shoot a Beretta at one point in the early days.
We've all made mistakes.
No. So you're saying Andreas made a mistake by going to the Beretta?
No, it's really personal preference. Like the Tanfos just fit my hands extremely well. They give me great surface to grip on, and yeah, they keep getting better and better. It seems like the more I shoot them.
So which Tanfo? I don't know the nomenclature or the naming structure for Tanfos. So for us, especially simple people, what Tanfo are you shooting?
Right now, I'm shooting the Stock 2 Optic Ready. So the Stock 2, I believe it has like a 4.5-inch barrel. Those are imported by EAA, European American Arms. I believe they just stopped importing Tanfolio stuff. So now the sole importer is going to be Italian Firearms Group, IFG.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what they're importing for Stock 2s, but basically all the guns, kind of like Glocks, have the same grip on them effectively. And it just boils down to if it's a single action or double action gun, and then how long the barrel and slide combo are. So I'd probably end up going to like these, it's called the IFG Defiant Stock Master. It's still made by Tanfolio, and it just gets named the IFG Defiant by Italian Firearms Group. It's probably the guns I'll look into in the future. So that has like a 5-inch barrel, some nice slide cuts, and it seems to definitely be the way to go.
Right. And it's more of that competition model trim package Tanfo then.
Yep. And I'd probably do the same thing. You do some trigger work and hammer springs and all the Patriot Defense go fast parts, and you got yourself a very, very awesome shooting gun.
Yeah. How light are your hammer springs and trigger return springs?
I was running like 10-pound hammer springs for a while, but I was like all federal only primers and didn't really present an issue, but I loaded some ammo for a buddy with his parts, and I think a CCI primer got mixed in. Mm-hmm. So I had a couple of light primer strikes and matches, and I'm like, okay, well, this is dumb. I should probably just work my way back up. So across this year, I've worked back up. I'm at like a 15.5-pound hammer spring now. And it really only put on like 1 pound on the double action and 0.5 pound on single action, going up that much on the hammer spring.
So really not noticeable then.
Yeah, it's like the additional reliability is phenomenal. It's kind of like those light triggers and all these other gadgets will make up for your lack of fundamentals. And the better I get, the less I need all these crutches.
Right.
So I'm up on the hammer springs. and I've got the short reset disconnectors from Patriot Defense. So I've got just a super short reset that helps with those trademark Tanfo Timmy splits.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2-pound single action really makes it nice.
I bet it does. Now, does Patriot Defense make brass grips for that, or using like aluminum or?
They made like a trial set, but I don't think you really need the additional weight on these guns. I've got they make a set of aggressive grips that kind of mimic the PT Evo 2011 grips in that level of aggressiveness. And I've got those on my guns. They're aluminum.
Gotcha. And you just slather on the pro grip and call it a day?
Yeah, I mean, these things will tear your hands apart. I know I shot a good match if my hands are bleeding, usually.
Yeah.
So they're extremely sharp, especially when they're new. I keep a newer set on my match gun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the pro grip is mostly for my hands where they interact with each other.
Right.
Where my hands are on the guns have plenty of grip. It's just where my hands touch each other is where I like additional non-slip pro grip, basically.
Right. And I even say like the pro grip is more just like an antiperspirant for like your hand, I want to think.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've shot a couple matches in the rain and I can absolutely not perform anywhere near what I'm used to because your hands are so slippery.
Mm-hmm. Now, you still have the SIG dots on your Tanfos?
Technically no. I just sent them in a couple weeks ago, week or two ago, I think, to be converted to SROs.
Oh, and so you're ready to stop breaking red dots then?
What's your over under on how many SROs I break next year?
Half as many as the SIG optics?
That's still a lot.
Is that like what? That's still like 6, right?
Yes.
You still don't have Tyler Northcutt beat. He broke, I think, over 20 RTS2s before he switched.
Wow. That's incredible.
I mean, they kept sending them to him, so.
Yeah, I mean, SIG has been nothing but extremely helpful. I just think this specific platform, slide ride metal gun, is just absolute hell on optics.
Mm-hmm.
So I've went up 2 pounds on my recoil spring since the beginning of the year to try and help optics not die so much. And it's gotten better as I went up, but
Yeah.
I really got to go with the reliability. I'm absolutely certain I've lost at least 2 matches to optic problems this year. So
yeah, that's not a bueno.
Yeah, not acceptable.
And you just switched belt platforms too, didn't you?
I did for my 2022 setup. I'm setting up a Dominate Defense belt. The ratchet seems pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Setting it up with the double alpha XI, Z, whatever pouches you want to call them. The all aluminum ones. They're phenomenal. I've ran them this year also, and yet to damage them or break them, and they don't slip. The design is really well thought out.
Yeah, I love those XI pouches. I have those as well, and I'm not disappointed that I spent near $70 a pouch.
Yeah, it was painful. It was $190 for 3 pouches or something.
Plus a magnet, plus another. I bought an extra magnet too when I bought mine. I bought the screw-on magnet that goes on your first pouch, and then the like a just actual magnet pouch like for my butt.
Yeah,
but that's truly for my paster gun though. Is that
right? I've actually stopped bringing my paster gun to majors just because if you have a paster gun, everybody else is just going to let you do all the pasting.
They do that at locals too. I mean, like,
right? I don't mind at locals just because I can't. It's not even possible. I help so much more at locals. I can't take them quite as seriously as majors.
Mm-hmm.
I really found that out this year. I jumped right in and I helped a local club. We put on a really awesome seven stage on average monthly match. And I just find myself completely not being all the way there mentally every match for that. But I know we're going to have an awesome match and awesome stages because I'm doing the work too. So that's enough. I can't expect to always shoot to my ability when you're focusing on helping run a match.
Right. And That's your seven stage monthly match. That was your outdoor match, right?
Yep, that's all outdoor.
And then you just started your indoor season too, didn't you?
Yep. Me and a close friend, Harrison Diamond, awesome guy. He's the match director. I just I design the stages and just help run everything as much as I can. We do it at Stock and Barrel. It's a very awesome indoor range, owned and operated in part by a USPSA shooter. So that's very fun.
Nice. And
what's that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, there's no restrictions at the range like that. He's got a course you can get holster qualified, so that's awesome. Because otherwise, Minnesota's just a terrible place to shoot USPSA in the winter.
Yeah, do you go there and practice in the winter then?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there once a week, probably starting around the first of the year.
Yeah, so you're kind of in that off season, kind of just shoot some.
I had to force myself, to take an off season. I'm actually shooting production right now because my carry optic slides are out getting milled, and production is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, well, you could shoot limited minor though.
Well, it's hard to see those bumpy things on the gun that are called iron sights.
Whoa! You got target focus. Screw the sights. Like,
oh, I know, but target focus with that equals mics.
Yeah,
because I'm shooting at the pace of a dot gun.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely for sure.
Like I was almost exclusively a dot shooter. I had my Glock 17 when I first bought it, and somebody borrowed me their gun with a red dot on it. I was like, it's the coolest thing ever. So I got mine set up with a dot on it and almost exclusively shot pistols with dots on it from then on.
It's just it's more enjoyable. It just
you can actually get things done, and it really lets you focus on other things like going fast.
Yeah. And you don't got to worry about no 10-round bullshit.
Yes. I figure it doesn't hurt to work on all the reloads. I've got a Tanfo with iron sights on it, so that works out.
Yeah.
So it's still the same gun, same reloads and everything, so that helps.
Yeah. How many Tanfo frames do you have? Like 4 or 5?
4, I think.
It's a good number then.
I had my first one I bought, and I shot just that one. All of that would have been 2020. I think I bought my first Tanfo late 2019.
Okay.
And I think I had 45,000 rounds on it, and the slide cracked. And I'm pretty sure they told me to kick rocks when I asked them about a warranty because I had it milled and everything. So that's just kind of the slide is on my wall as a trophy.
At least you still got the frame though.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was able to find another slide to shoot iron sights on that one. So
that's not bad at all. And you have a lot of heat, it seems like, in Minnesota there by you.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. Pretty much the whole time I've been shooting, it's been always bouncing back and forth. We've got Jim Krantz, Noah Goodrich, and then another my buddy Dan Bremner. He kind of lives up north and doesn't hang around down here too much, but when he does come down, it's really fun to compete with all of us. It's always going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Until he has to shoot PCC.
Yes. Well, I beat him at 3. I think it was 2 out of 3 majors this year, and we made a bet, so he had to shoot PCC for the last outdoor match of the year.
So you were the Jeff Clothen versus the Jeff and Sasquatch debate for you guys? That was funny though. I always thought that was hilarious. That Sasquatch was so serious. Yeah, Jeff clobbered him at every major they shot together.
Right? Like, yeah, my buddy Dan's an interesting shooter. I think he says he's not practicing, but he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's just a savant and doesn't do anything and shows up and does great. So up and down. I think he was less than 0.5% behind me at Wisconsin. I think he got second place there behind me. So
yeah.
I think at Great Plains, he was also Great Plains section. I think he was also like less than 1% behind me there also.
Yeah. Great Plains. Who ran Great Plains?
I'm not sure. It was out in South Dakota.
Oh, okay.
It's a fun little match and everything went quite well. Yeah, I can't think much of that otherwise. And then Minnesota section, Dan beat me. I worked staff for that one, so I'm completely blaming all of my performance on working staff.
I mean, it definitely does drive your percentage down. It
It
seems
really
like
opened. Yeah. What's that? Sorry.
it seems like working staff drives your percentage down by a good 5% or so.
It really opened my eyes to match pressure. Like I shot the match, and I know last year I shot a really good match, good feeling match, but I was just off the pace by a second or two every stage. And shot at his staff last year. It's my local match, so I work it every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year, I think I just unconsciously brought a lot of pressure and pushed where I really didn't need to push, and ended up crashing and burning quite a few times. And after that, I tried the patented Brennan Conaway method and didn't touch my guns for a week and a half till the Iowa section. And then I came out at Iowa and shot like 98%, third place of lane grease. So I really kind of understood what I was doing, and that a match is no time to be pushing. You should be shooting that comfortable 90%.
Mm-hmm.
But and you should be able to execute it every single time. That's the big thing I brought with the nationals also.
Mm-hmm. Just that pace of comfortability and knowing your process is going to lead you to success.
Yeah, that was the biggest jump I made at the end of the year after Minnesota. So into Iowa, and then got my first major match win at Wisconsin, and then into nationals. So I'm trying to work on that in my head and carry it into next year.
Yeah, and Wisconsin was a stacked field if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think we had 6 or 7 GMs. It was enough to match bump a handful of people.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, and that
Match bumping sandbaggers and carry optics,
they got to do what you got to do, right? I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate for us in Michigan. We only have John, our local GM, and carry optics. So if nobody else shows up, we're SOL on match bumps.
I saw John was registered for Wisconsin. I'm sad. I wanted to finally meet him. Seems like a pretty sick shooter. So
He definitely is. I don't know. I think looking at the matchbook, he was a little disappointed, but
it was
I don't
easy
think.
to take it that way. I don't blame a lot of people.
Yeah,
But the stages on the ground were extremely interesting.
they were definitely bend stages, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it was like no match I've ever shot, and I really enjoyed it. It really made you work for everything you got. So that was very cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, have you ever had issues with being result motivated or result focused compared to being process oriented?
Yeah, that's usually seems like all I am is result driven sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Never been very good at the process per se. Look at most of my training, and you want to see that immediate result. Like even now to this day, I really don't enjoy dry fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very valuable tool, and I have to force myself to do it. But I don't enjoy it. It doesn't seem as fruitful or productive as live fire because you get that immediate result from live fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that tends to be why I live fire so much. Partially because I'm able to, and partially because I enjoy it. But you get an immediate result, so you're result focused.
Mm-hmm.
You can run your drill, run it again, and you start to get that result you want, and that just immediate dopamine hit of running an all alpha drill, right?
Right. So speaking of that, what is like your training schedule like?
I'm terribly unorganized. Most people would hate to see it. I wind up blasting stuff for the last 20 minutes at the range most of the time. But in the season, when I'm working at it, I try to dry fire every day. I really try to. It ends up being 5 days a week, I'd say. I dry fire for at least 10 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Really got to put some more direction to it because I kind of just wind up thinking of something that I might see in the next match and specifically work on it. I do a lot of dry fire with target transitions, just because that seems to be one of the biggest things you're going to see in a match,
Mm-hmm.
and that's always the biggest room for improvement if you have solid fundamentals. I pushed reloads a lot this year because I noticed I was just lagging back on those. Same with the draw. I've never been terribly fast on drawing. Sure, I can do my 1 second here and there or 1, 2, but never really surpassed that. So I try to work on that pretty consistently. And if not, speed it up, just make sure it's 100% clean draw every time. And then in the season, early season, I might shoot a lot more when there's not so many matches on weekends. For example, this year, if it was a slow weekend, I might have went to the range Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and shot 500 rounds a day. And then, yeah, I was easily averaging 800 rounds a week for most of the season. I think I wound up shooting 30,000 rounds this year.
Wow, and that's impressive, even with the fact that ammo was down.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of work to round up primers. Let's put it that way. So spend a lot more money than I'd like to sometimes, but like even the meme I posted the other day, I'll quit a lot of other things before I quit shooting so much. So
right. Sorry, job. I need to devote time to shooting. I got to quit you now.
I've got a nice setup, a nice job, so it works out well. I work the bare minimum amount of time they make me be there, and yeah. But otherwise, the live fire schedule, if I can, I will get to the range at least one time in the middle of the week. I have a lighted pistol bay at my club, so I can shoot till 10 p.m. So I'll usually get off work and come home and get the kids to bed, and then rush out to the range and be able to shoot for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of helpful. I usually work on very specific drills there because they don't really like you shooting the side berms at that specific bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, otherwise I'll go to the range with a couple drills on a Friday because I don't work Fridays, so I'll spend a solid 3-4 hours at the range just about every Friday in the summer.
That would be nice. That would be nice. I'm not privileged to that yet, but maybe
I mean, I kind of put myself in this situation, so we had a lot of concessions with a lot of other things. Yeah. It's kind of funny for how far I was into the shooting sports, even when the coronavirus started, and my wife saw the crazy stuff going on. We live maybe 20 miles north of Minneapolis in Minnesota here, and all those riots started, and I'm like, oh, my guns and ammo doesn't seem so stupid now, does it? So it really opened her eyes to that, and she started shooting a little bit more with me, but she otherwise has no desire to compete or anything like that. So
right. Now when you get ready for like when the major match season, will you amp that up at all, or do you just kind of keep that the same as if you were what you were just saying?
I end up shooting a little bit less because you tend to have a match during the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I do try to get in a couple more, working a little bit more practices before a major. Like I'll usually try to get out a couple days before I would leave for a major match and just do some more basic match pace driven practice. And then with the cigarette dots, I would prove 0 every time I go to the range to make sure nothing happened. And then before nationals, I sat down and looked at my ammo supply, and I probably had 4,500 rounds left. So I said, let's shoot all that before we go to nationals. So I was shooting like crazy before nationals.
Yeah. That's a good segue. Let's talk about nationals. So you came in, if for the people who don't know, you came in what, 30th, if I'm correct, in carry optics?
Yep. I was 30th at 86.4 something percent
of JJ.
Yes, of JJ, not Max, JJ.
And what was the percentage of points?
I think 88.
Okay, so just shy of 90.
I got eaten alive on day 3 in that Zone C, Shannon Smith death zone operation.
Yeah, I think everyone has said this, that Zones 3 ate everybody's lunch.
It's funny, like it's just a combination of like perfect storm for me.
Hmm.
Coming to the last day, I was shooting pretty well, and these hard stages, and just you start to stack up pressure. All these, like Mason Lane says, all these layers started to stack up, and you start even subconsciously start to push a little bit, and just a little bit of, instead of taking two passes on a swinger when you had slightly questionable hits, you roll out and like if I could have potentially shot zone 3 the first day, how different the results might have been. That's a very interesting thing to look at. But
Yeah, or even if you shot it on the second day, at least then got
yeah,
your.
absolutely.
Because if you got in like the first day jitters, it was your first nationals. If you got the first
Humorous,
day,
humorously enough, the way I've found at majors, I do great the first handful of stages, and then I usually have to work to keep my focus. Like my first day at nationals, I think I shot 90% of stage winner. I think I was 14th overall in carry optics on my first stage. Like my focus seems to be amped up there, and then through the match, I have to work harder and harder to keep the focus.
right now, what you started on stage 1, if I'm correct, right?
Yep, I was on the same zone rotation as the super squad, just slightly different stage start on.
Right, because yes. Now, what stage in particular was your favorite of nationals?
Gonna have to say the classifier stage, just because I love hosing targets like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I love it so much. Um, but I think my favorite realistic stage would have been like the first stage in zone C with the bobber, and you had to finish weak hand only on the last 3 targets.
Oh,
I
okay.
just thought that was a very interesting way to go.
Yeah, a lot of people don't actually realize that that's allowed in those type of courses to mandate
Yeah,
a hand.
I mean, totally. I've read the rule book, and I saw they could force you to specify. I believe it was the last 3 targets,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I really enjoyed that. It really presented a unique challenge to be able to switch hands while moving and stable up at the end, and you could even decide if you really wanted to shoot a different 3 targets rather than the obvious last 3.
Right. Now, was that the obvious plan to go up, after the bobber section and go up and do the weekend there? Because it was a
Yeah,
start
it was.
anywhere.
Yep, it was. I believe it was. Yeah, it was start anywhere, and it was pretty obvious that that was the easiest plan. I believe you started on I think you drew to 2 20+ yard IPSC targets.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 of them, and then one close one. So it seemed like the 3 you ended on otherwise were probably maybe 7 or 8 yards, 10 yards, and 15 yards. So that
Mm-hmm.
seemed to be easier than the 2 20 25-ish yard targets on the other option, or
Mm-hmm.
potentially shooting a moving target weekend only.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to shoot a moving target weekend only.
That'd be terrible.
Ballsy, unless you're Mason Lane. Mason Lane, strong hand only all day long.
Right? They really flubbed their chance. They should have named stage 18 Mason's Lane, the
that
strong hand only stage, man.
would have been perfect. I was kind of sad that Race Gun Nationals, they just had to run down the alleyway.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised they changed that much, but I think it's good for the competitive equity how much they change the stages between the 2 matches.
Yeah.
So you can't get such an advantage by shooting the first nationals and then the second one.
Right. Now, besides your performance, how did you think Nationals went? Was it a good match? Was it ran well? Or was it a clusterfuck?
No, it ran reasonably well. There was definitely enough porta potties. They really pulled out the stops on that one, thankfully. Um, the range is a little small for the size of the match. That's been echoed enough times, but any match I've seen them try to double up bays tends to create issues. There was a big backup at Area 3 this year with a doubled up bay,
And
and
the
then
memory stage.
yeah, that would, oh my gosh, that one hurt. I managed to get a nice plan. I was just really slow on that one.
Yeah.
But and then that backup on the first day led to some people shooting in the dark,
Yep.
aka flashlight nationals. If you haven't seen the video yet,
Yep.
have you seen the video?
I think so. I at least I
Okay.
saw Mason's live video that he did.
Him and I think Luke Faust put together a very, very amazing masterpiece
Mm-hmm.
of the stage run, which is interesting. And yeah, stuff happens. That sucks. They made him shoot in the dark, so hopefully that gets rectified before next year's nationals.
Yeah, and I think they've learned from that, and race gun nationals didn't seem to have that issue.
Yeah, they seem like they're responding well to criticism now, much better than in the past.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Bonus
I,
points for that. I'm not taking all the credit, but I think I might have had a small hand in that.
yeah,
I may or may not have made about 50 porta potty memes.
I mean, if Bill Duda paid for the porta potties, I mean, they would have been flushed out for low cap nationals. But
Oh, I mean, CMP covers the porta potties at nationals. Would you like to ask me how I know that?
go ahead, tell me why you know that.
So, as you've seen, it's a funny joke when my stickers, my Tanfo Timmy stickers, show up in porta potties, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I give my stickers to people, and they think it's hilarious to put them in porta potties all over the place. I got pulled aside at one point by Jake Martins and Troy McManus, and the long and short of it, threatened to be banned from CMP range because my stickers were showing up in porta potties.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm like, I apologize. I really can't control what other people do with my stickers I give them, but I will make sure they know they're strictly not for porta potty use in the future. But so yeah, that was an interesting situation on day 3 of nationals, right before I got to shoot. Might have made me a little more nervous.
That would have sucked.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, especially since CO Nationals is back in CMP next year.
yeah, that's I think what they were trying to get at. But
Yeah.
so I think my next round of stickers will say not for porta potties on them to really reinforce that point.
There you go. Yeah, that I hope, I know this has been settled. I hope they add a couple bays to CMP. I
I
wouldn't
don't
even,
think they will. I think the contract has been agreed to, and anything they do now will simply cost CMP more money for no return on investment.
yeah, no bueno. Now, did you think it was odd how they did the double bays, where it was like you either the first shooter and the third shooter, or the first shooters on the other stages?
Yeah, I've never really seen it done that way. I don't think that made it any different than potentially splitting the squad in half.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what, you got people shooting here and people shooting there. They could have been a little better in getting, maybe if they split the squads in half, they would have had more people to help pace. There was a little slow reset sometimes because most of the people were waiting to shoot the one stage instead of helping reset the other one sometimes. But I
Yeah.
don't think it was a huge issue by any means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a lot what a lot of people said. I mean, I wasn't at nationals, so I go by secondhand information, unfortunately. But besides, like, not having to use your flashlight at flashlight nationals, or the doubled up base, is there anything you'd like to see improved after we've seen all the nationals for this year? What would be something you'd like to see improved for next year?
Maybe intersperse the variety of stages
Mm-hmm.
potentially instead of having a really vanilla zone 1 and a slightly interesting zone 2 and just a death stalker crazy hard zone 3. Maybe take those zone 3 stages and sticker them in the other 2 zones, get a little more variety within the zones.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple stages that definitely left a lot to be desired that were just extremely simple stages, which I think they had to do to fit them in the double bays.
Right.
So maybe just put a little bit more thought into some of the ones they split the double bays up with. but otherwise, no. They I think they really responded well to the criticism from low cap Nats. There was plenty of food, even if they had to order a little bit extra at the end. But they made sure that they didn't have any issues there, and yeah, I don't have any complaints otherwise.
Mm-hmm. So you did, so no officiating issues or hokey calls.
I didn't run into any. I mean, it was definitely interesting. I think I dropped 2 mics on the weekend strong hand weekend stage, and I had one that was definitely obviously not a single a round uniform hole. So this was, bear in mind, this was like an hour and a half after I got threatened to be banned by Troy and Jake. That now I have to call the RM for an overlay, and Troy shows up. So I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but it sure didn't make me feel great about it. But no, I didn't see anything that was otherwise an issue that I saw.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you were squatted with Matt Hopkins, Area 3 director.
Yep.
Who else was on your squad?
Tom Castro, a bunch of PCC guys. I'm sorry because I don't know all of their names.
They're PCC guys. I mean, they're one conglomerate, right?
Right. They're all the same. Dave Mann. I think he's closer to you guys over there. No, he's in Wisconsin, maybe, or Illinois.
He's Chicago, but yeah, he's a PSTG member. So
yep, he's coming up. I'll be curious to see what he does next year.
Yeah, he's an assassin.
And then Elena, or as everybody knows, her Bonnie Rotten. So
that's right. She was on your squad.
She's hilarious. I had so much fun.
Yeah, I bet that would have been fun. You see, she got her new her Infinity gun.
Yeah, that thing looks sick. I'm like, man, can I get an open gun?
Hey, you want to hook me up with an open gun? It's got to be orange and Tanfo's on it.
Right. I like guns that run all the time, so I feel like I couldn't shoot open.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't Tanfolio make an open gun?
Yeah, but it probably doesn't run all the time.
I mean, you said you got to be a gunsmith to work on Tanfo, so.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just keep them very well running, and that's it.
Oh, that's true.
No, I see more jams out of open guys than anybody other than PCCs, but
yeah. I mean, that's all. It seems like more of the issue is the reloading, other than the.
That too, definitely.
I mean, if the people didn't have crappy dies, I mean, their ammo wouldn't be as bad.
Like to see a study done on that with Mighty Armory dies. Like,
I mean,
ever since I started loading with those, I mean, short of my own shortcomings and getting the wrong primer in the case, I haven't had an ammo malfunction in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. I definitely have learned from the last 2 matches. What was it? Last 2 matches. No, not the last match. Maybe the match before that and the match before that was I had ammo issues. Purely on ammo. That's what the issue was. Even though everyone tried to say it was my trigger that I put in my gun, but it wasn't. My seating die had walked.
Oh yeah. They got to mark those. I got some of that like tamper-proof, almost paint. Amy 556 turned me onto that stuff, and it dries rock solid. And if your die walks, it'll crack and flake off, and you'll know. So.
Yeah, and it didn't even walk that much. It was just the fact that it was just it got a little bit longer.
I think I ran into that problem when I was shooting Glock back in my first year. I had some ammo that got loaded a little long, and it started to chamber hard. I ran into that one day. Yeah, reloading is definitely a process to learn and then obsess over if you want to have quality ammo.
Right. Now, what turned you on to the Mighty Armory dies?
When I first got into them, they just seemed like they put the most thought and development into their sizing dies. Like that's where they started with sizing dies, and it just was really well thought out. And it's there's no carbide inserts, so you can't accidentally pull those apart. I pulled a Lee die apart back in the day by accident. Didn't lube a case enough, and it yanked it out. But it's high quality materials and really, really high quality machining. They've got the primer flicker. It'll flip the old primers out so you don't get any pullback. I ran into that on the Dillon die when I first got my 650. Kept pulling primers back in, and then I blast one off when I try to seat a primer. That's in the case that's already got a primer in it. Have you blown any primers off on your press yet?
No,
I
luckily
think
not.
that's why they changed to the 750 to prevent primers from blowing up.
Yeah, and you don't have to deal with the weird pin, like the phone dial.
Yep. But so we got that sorted out, and yeah, the like I just started got the newest Mighty Armory sizing die. They actually partnered with, I believe, Fail Zero, and they've got that proprietary nickel boron coating inside the reloading die. Oh, it's so amazing! It feels like I don't have a case in the sizing die when I size now.
Ooh, that must be nice.
Yeah, I got a video. I'm horrible at that kind of stuff, so I'm trying to splice together a video. I got the die set, so I got them all adjusted up and put on the press, and it's looking like it's going to make some really, really good ammo. So keep my streak alive of non-ammo related malfunctions.
Yeah, and that's the word. Especially if people don't understand what they're diagnosing. They could, blaming the gun when it's actually their ammo's issues.
Yeah, I actually ran into an issue at, I think, 3 different majors this year that I thought it might have been an extractor at the Minnesota match, and cleaned it and tested it, didn't have any problems again. And then at Iowa, I had a jam on a weekend shooting stage. I thought it was because I just limp wristed, really limp weekend, and caused it to jam. And then at Wisconsin, I had the same style of jam. And it just so happened Stoger was watching me shoot that stage because he was just hanging out. So I was on the squad with like Quansick and a bunch of other cool people. And Stoger says, "Give me that mag." And he puts a couple rounds in it and strips the first one out super easily. He's like, "Oh, this mag is worn out." I'm like, "Wow, that's the mag that's failed me in 2 other majors so far this year then." So I showed me that real quick. So obviously, if anybody knows about Tanfos, it's that dude.
Right.
So I took the mag apart and checked the tube away right then and there. So ever since then, I haven't had any further problems, but it was neither an ammo nor a gun problem specifically. It was just a worn out mag tube. So now I know how to test those a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always nice. Especially like, I know this is gonna sound like a commercial, but if you're not part of the PSTG, you guys probably should. There's a lot of wealth of information there.
Oh, it's just so much. It's really cool because like I think Ben just did that whatever Mustang racing experience. He said he's gonna put videos of that up there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like
That was looked
they
cool.
put up a video of Lane Grease in one of his like close quarters combat. What was it? Combative handgun techniques. That was the name, I believe. Like Lane is just one human muscle. I stayed with him and a couple other guys at nationals, and Lane is just awesome. He shoots guns and wrestles dudes in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's all he does.
Yeah. So
He's very knowledgeable in both topics.
yeah, and that's always cool. I don't know much about Lane, so I'm gonna have to look into him.
He stays pretty quiet. He just works enough to afford to do the 2 hobbies he has, and that's about the extent of it.
Yeah, he's more over there by Joel, isn't he?
Yeah, somewhere near Omaha, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's always, it's cool to know who knows who, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and so at nationals, you got to go to the crawfish boil, didn't you?
I did somehow because I think it ended up Luigi came down. A bunch of shooters were staying at the same condos we were.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow I weaseled my way into there. I don't really remember. We were quite inebriated at that point.
Well, yeah,
But
it was probably fire food though, that's for sure.
oh, it was amazing. I've never had anything like it. I was like, I guess they're doing what? I've never had any of that. And I think Luigi was like, "Are you serious? Come on up." So it was a very cool experience.
Yeah, did you get to talk to Phil Strader while you were there?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he was there at that point.
Yeah.
No, and he was shooting Super Squad, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But
so you totally would you even take your PCC brethren on your squad again if you had to?
Yeah, they were good about pasting and resetting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Everybody sure makes fun of PCC. It's just because it's the easiest thing to meme.
Well, yeah,
I
that
don't
and
I don't
Revo.
care either way as long as they don't take their 30-minute make ready and try to be quick when they're unloading and showing clear and flagging and all that business.
Yeah. Now, did you think well, was Nationals was there a point at Nationals where it was punishing the PCC yet favoring the pistol or vice versa on some stages?
I don't think it ever favored the pistol. There was a lot of things that you could tell that were strictly designed to you. I guess you'd have to say challenge rather than punish
Mm-hmm.
PCCs. But obviously, they really couldn't pepper in the distance you should to challenge a PCC. There's no reason you shouldn't have 100-yard targets in a PCC nationals.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a lot of odd positioning, tight leans, especially to the left. It's funny because Elena's a left-handed PCC shooter, so every once in a while she'd just be able to crush one of these positions that all the regular right-handed PCC shooters couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the combination of strong hand, weak hand really made it interesting for PCC.
Yeah. Did she have a right-handed PCC or did she have a left-handed PCC?
Remember paying that close attention. I'm guessing she just had a right-handed PCC though.
Yeah. I don't. I'd hope. I kind of actually wonder now if there's actually is a left-handed variant of a PCC.
Somebody's got to make one. It's probably just obscure and crazy.
Yeah, that's probably true. So Tim, now that the season's kind of over and we're kind of, I know a lot of us are already preparing for 2022. What matches are you looking forward to going into 2022?
I'm already registered for Area 6 that opened up like a week or two ago. And I said, why not? That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Area 6, I'm going to fly out. Hopefully, I assume I can get in on the list and register for Dragons Cup because I already booked a flight and a rental car.
Oh damn!
The
You're like,
prices are good, man. The prices are good. So like, I better jump on this.
yeah,
So Dragons Cup out in Odessa, Texas. That's going to be really awesome. I've heard really good things about that.
yep.
I think I'm going to do the Ozark Classic. That's down near Springfield, Missouri. That's in late March. So that ends up being my first major for the year. So that's a nice way to kick it off and get a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
I shot it last year and so a good match. They needed I think they needed to do a little work on organization, which it sounds like they're doing, and this year should be pretty awesome.
Huh.
So we have that, and then it really kind of depends on where Area 3 is at. I've heard it's probably going to be back at Grand Island.
So you're gonna get a golf cart, right?
Maybe it really depends on when the dates are, because it sounds like it might be 1 week before Area 5 if they stick with the traditional date. And
Yeah.
I'd much rather shoot Area 5 just because I've never shot it. So
Yeah, because they were usually the end of July
yeah,
is Area 3, and yeah, Area 5 will be the first
the
weekend of
following
August. Yeah.
weekend, yeah. So I'd probably err on the side of Area 5. And then Minnesota and Wisconsin section, hopefully Great Plains section. I don't think I can do Iowa because it's going to be the weekend before nationals now.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be home enough to make the wife not completely resent me.
I mean, long as you're paying the bills, right? That's half of the battle.
Man, she just got a new job and she's paying the bills now.
Oh, all right. So all the work money's going towards guns and ammo.
Right? I'm like, oh man. And obviously it's easy to miss my children, so I really gotta take the
Right.
time that I can. I'm pretty excited. I'm bringing both of them without deer hunting this coming weekend.
Oh, that'll be. Oh, that's right. That's starting up. That'll be fun.
Yeah. But so back to the majors. Whenever the Cornhusker Classic, whatever, if they do that again, that was really awesome. That was a very good match. Ben Stoker Pro Shop sponsored Cornhusker Classic. And then nationals, hopefully. So it really depends on what lands where and how much I can convince my wife to let me go to.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
true. It's all the brownie points you rack up during the year, right?
definitely. Like
Now,
I think I shot 8 majors this year.
mhm.
So we had no shortage of them, that's for sure.
Yeah, and your list doesn't seem very short at all for next year either.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to try and if space them out and do approximately one a month, because then
Mhm.
I'm not gone too much and all that stuff. So we'll see
Yeah,
how the spacing works.
yeah. And then, how close is your local to home?
I have a very lucky situation, honestly. The only issue is my work schedule prevents me from going to most of the weeknight ones.
Hmm.
But when I can sneak out, there's a Wednesday night local weekly in the summer that's 30 minutes from my house. There's a Thursday night local that's 30 minutes from my house. There is um most of them don't do a weekly weekend match.
Hmm.
We do have like a point series in Minnesota. So for most of the weekends, I think they end up having 7 or 8 points matches. You'll have a match somewhere around the state. The farthest you'd have to drive is 2.5 hours.
Okay.
And then the club I help out with is at a range that's only about half an hour from my house, and we do our once a month that monthly match. But yeah, I've got a pretty nice. My home range is also half an hour from my house, so actually 25 minutes. But
Yeah, that's not too bad at all then. Now, this is something I like to ask everybody. What is something that current Timmy would like to tell past Timmy about shooting?
be more organized and more deliberate with your practice. If I would have kept far better track of all the ammo I've shot, I'd probably be way better.
I mean, you were top like in the heat this year. The field was stacked with heat. So I mean, I wouldn't be ashamed of 30th at all.
I'm not. I didn't have too many expectations. Just I wanted to go into it knowing I shot that 85-90% match mode that I've been working on, and I did a pretty good job of it up until that day 3, and I just got a little bit loose and dropped a couple mics on mostly on moving targets.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so definitely not upset. If you look at my percentage and compared to last year's carry optics, I'd have been 16th
Mm.
approximately. So I'm like, okay, ballpark this, ballpark that. I definitely came a lot farther than I thought I would this year. I probably chronically underestimate ability, but I'd rather do that than overestimate.
Right. And yeah, be a little more humble than cocky about it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, would you say that this year's Nationals is more of a true test of the field? I would say because last year they had to deal with half of the big and most of the top heavy hitters were still shooting production.
Yeah, that's an interesting point to look at both directions. I mean, it's a I guess it makes it a better test of the available skill in the country, right? Because
Hmm.
everybody who could be there is there, and you just it'd be interesting to see it from the standpoint of okay, this is my primary division. I'd like to compete against everybody else who's this is their primary division.
Right.
But then you get the other people. It's like yeah, they're also good too. So let's get them all in the mix and test yourself against the best.
Yeah. Because I did not see JJ winning Carry Optics Nationals.
Yeah, that was very interesting the way that worked out. I didn't they were on the same rotation as me, so I didn't really get to see him shoot very much.
Right.
But I think just some of that pressure got to Max potentially.
I heard he had some gun issues with one or multiple of his guns.
Okay, I didn't hear that. That'd be terrible. That sucks. That's a sucky way to lose points at a match for sure.
Like Max typically doesn't miss things. So I mean, he could have had an off day, but yeah, he had like 8 mics that are not. It doesn't sound like Max.
Yeah, I think I wound up the match with 4 or 5. I don't recall 4 or 5, and I only really earned one of them. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh man. I think I managed to put 2 mics into the little hardcover tape strip on the Death Swingers from the one stage. Like, of
Oh,
course.
yeah. That was at the ammo can stage.
That was the one before it with those half IPSC targets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where like I just got stupid, reverted to the hoser in me that said blaze it and go. If I would
Hmm.
have just ate a second and took a second pass, it would have been no trouble at all.
Right.
So just that hindsight on little things.
Very much true. Now, I want to talk about this team you've formed with Mr. Matt Hempel. These thick boys. What are thick
Yes,
boys?
thick boys. Pretty open interpretation, but it's not too hard to understand. Obviously, I'm not small,
Hmm.
and it's no never fails at every major match. I will get a comment from an RO on some stage like, "Wow, I didn't expect you to move like that." Like, right? I've learned to inform the ROs sometimes. Like, I'm going to be coming at you a lot faster than you think, so watch out.
These little legs can move.
Right? He may be short, but keep them moving.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the whole team Thick Boys just randomly started Matt Hempel. He's such a funny guy. I don't even remember how it got started, but it started as a joke, obviously. And I think it was at one point over the summer where the AC went out at my house. I made a post about it. He messaged me, "Do you need Team Thick Boys assistance?" I'm like, "Do you want to come here and put an air conditioner in my house?" He's like, "No, but I can come there and drink beer." Oh man, so I don't know. We just kind of fun to get out that idea of a Instagram page and like a little group. Everybody's got some sort of shooting team, so figured why not make one that kind of all inclusive, but centers around the thick boy
Hmm.
and yeah, just help everybody get some content out there. It kind of tapered off now as the year went on, or as the season comes to a close, but
Hmm.
we get it fired back up and running well when we get shooting again in the spring.
Yep. You got your poor college kid manager.
Right, the manager Magnus.
Yep.
It was actually his idea to make a page, and I'm like, I don't have the time to do that kind of stuff. So if you want to do it, be my guest.
Right. Yeah.
So he fired it all up, and we both kind of do what we can and all that stuff.
Yeah. Magnus did actually submit a question. He was like, when will Tim ever get the cow hat?
He has that goofy frog hat, and he wants me to get an animal hat, but I don't really want to wear a hat. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't blame you. You don't
He's a
normally
goofy kid.
you don't normally wear a hat when you shoot, do you?
Generally, no. It's nice to have if the sun's kind of annoying, but otherwise, I generally don't.
Yeah, because you put your GoPro strap thing on most of the time.
Yeah, I had it on a hat, and then the hat gets really heavy.
Hmm.
So all sorts of goofy stuff. I'm looking at that into that new OpKicks camera, I believe it's called.
Oh, the little square thing that's super
Yeah, they
light.
look pretty awesome. So hopefully I'll get one of those. They're just expensive, and it's like, do I need primers or do I need cameras?
Primers.
Always need primers.
I mean, luckily enough, they've been available lately. Like even if they're
Yeah,
2,000 a bundle, I won't bite if they're 1,000 packs because it's not worth the
yeah,
hazmat.
it's just terrible. Yeah, you got to get lucky and catch them on like I think it's the Natchez Shooter's Supply, and they allow you 10,000 at a go.
Yep, I believe so. It's either 5 or 10. Yeah,
Yeah, the last one I saw that we got into was 10,000. It ended up being $870 for 10,000 of them.
that's not too
So
awful bad then. I mean, it's still not
yeah,
great prices, but
it's fun when you reload. You can disconnect yourself from the price. Oh, I
yeah,
spent $870, but just over the course of shooting them all, you don't feel as bad.
right. Yeah, it's like, but it's much rather pay that on primers than loaded ammunition.
Oh, totally. It's like all this ammo crunch stuff hit, and I've helped a lot of other people because I had more spare time at different times of the day than a lot of people. So that's how I came into a lot of primers was stopping at local stores a
Hmm.
lot. And obviously the primers were for me, but if somebody was looking for loaded ammo, I'd keep an eye out and got a lot of loaded ammo for people. And yeah, I've seen the price of some of that. I haven't bought factory ammo outside of 22 shells and shotgun in 4 or 5 years, probably.
Yeah, well, and you live pretty close to Federal, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, it's actually hilarious. That was all the primers I was getting at my local Sportsman's Warehouse were Federals, and I think you could draw a line, and the Federal ammo plant is less than a mile from that Sportsman's Warehouse. So it's like, do they just like drive them over here? I'm like, can I just drive over there and get some primers?
Right? I mean, Matt Hopkins, can we get a hookup, please?
Well, it's funny. I know a bunch of local guys that work there, like Casey Reed and Luke Faust both work there.
Oh,
So it's like, man, guys, can you get primers?
yeah.
But
I wish we had that kind of hookup, don't you?
that'd be amazing.
Be like, I'll just let me work on the weekends, like, primer discount or work for
Literally pay
primers,
me in primers.
right? Not by the brick, not by the sleeve, though.
Definitely.
Right. That is, yeah. We all need primers, but yeah, I don't buy loaded ammunition unless it's like you said, 22s or shotgun. It's even 223. I won't buy 22. I won't load 223 because I don't feel like it.
Yeah, it's debatably up and down. Since I got my 650 able to do that, I can really crank some 2 to 3 out. It's actually going to start shooting that a little bit more for fun this winter, I think, before I get back into heavy duty USPSA practice.
Yeah.
So, and
Well,
then
Mhm.
oh, but yeah, like even my hunting stuff, it's really cool. The last I shoot a 300 blackout for deer, so I load all that myself, and 308, and I shot a black bear last fall with a 308 I loaded myself, and that's nothing cooler than that is loading your own ammo to hunt with even.
Yeah, and I guess you probably still have your turret and your single stage, so you don't have to too much booger up your 650 unless you really want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Just go single stage with all that stuff. Actually,
Yeah.
I think my single stage is at my dad's house right now because he started to dabble in reloading. So I said, you can use this until I need it back.
Right. That's true. I mean, I need to get a single stage for like I recently last year I inherited a 357 Magnum revolver.
Oh, awesome.
It's a hunting revolver. It's a Dan Wesson. Thing's got an 8-inch
Sweet.
barrel. It's heavier than
Nice.
thing's so heavy, but I don't feel like ordering a bunch of Dylan parts, so I think I'll just order a single stage and
Yeah, for the
just
amount
load.
you might shoot that, it's totally worth it. Like that's a big part of why I got into reloading is I could just shoot all this ridiculous calibers and for no more money. Like
Mm-hmm.
we got a 10 millimeter and a 44 Magnum and a 458 SOCOM, and because for the longest time I even cast bullets too. So you can like I cast a 500 grain bullet for a 458 SOCOM, and it's free because I can get lead wheel weights from work.
Oh, that's right. And then you melt them bitches down and
Well, but that's how you get your lead levels really high. So be very careful.
do that outside in a well ventilated area.
Yes, yes. Do not mess around with that if you're not sure what to do.
Right. Now we are getting near the end of this, Tim. But we got to pay the bills to the sponsors. So who are your sponsors?
I'm currently working with Mighty Armory. They Wayne reached out to me actually and really helped me understand that, wow, okay, I'm getting good at this and maybe some people would like me to represent them. So we really started out with Mighty Armory to make just extremely high quality reloading dies. They're second to none in my experience. There's just more thought and research and time put into the design and material usage on their dies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shooting brass monkey bullets, working with them. They're just a great coated bullet. The coating is definitely high quality, so it doesn't smoke as bad as some of the lesser counterparts.
Did you get the green ones yet?
Yep, my latest I stocked up for next year, and I got a bunch of the green ones. They've taken a slight green tint. He was very worried when he was looking into new supply chain, basically just a higher quality coating, but they didn't really have the same gold.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the quality's there, who really cares about the color? So
yeah, they still look brass. Well, brass and copper kind of turn gold. Green
yeah,
anyway.
and I'd say the new coating is even just a little bit more robust than the old stuff potentially.
Oh, that's good to know then.
Yeah, it keeps you from smoking it out too bad. And just kind of started working a little bit with Nathan at that DivTech Magnets, DivTech shop, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He makes the 3D printed stuff. It's actually a really cool little magnet. I used it on the weekend reload at Nationals. He's like a lot of people have the double alpha one, but I found the double alpha magnet was too strong. I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't get my mag off it reliably. But the DivTech one is chrome plated, so your mag actually can slide off of it. So that's worth people looking into if they're still in the magnet game, haven't got one yet, or are setting up a new rig like I just did.
Yep. I'm getting mine soon. That'll be here eventually.
I'm not officially sponsored by Patriot Defense, but they make the best stuff for Tanfos, hands down, and they're about the only company that makes Tanfo parts. So they're just a phenomenal little company, generally like a family run operation. And I'm looking forward to working something out with them, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And then my local indoor club, Stock and Barrel, they got 2 locations in the Twin Cities here in Minnesota that they sponsor me also. And that's where we run our indoor league in the winter. So they're very awesome, accommodating range.
Yeah. And you said that was ran by a USPSA shooter, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe he's part owner, kind of hands off management, but he rolls in there and does whatever he wants. There's none of those silly rapid fire rules.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take a class and you're able to draw from a holster at the line and stuff. So it's very, very helpful to be able to practice like that, and not your traditional 1 shot per second gun on the bench FUD indoor range.
Right. Yeah, we don't need no more of those. That's for sure. So that's everyone who supports you, and I think it's going to be time to thank the listeners for watching. And oh, wait, we can't end this yet. Tim, where can they find you?
Oh, I'm on Instagram, the infamous Tanfo Timmy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you haven't seen me yet, you probably will some more. I think things are gonna get spicier before they calm down. So
Yeah, that's true. That is definitely for sure true. You don't have a YouTube or anything?
I do have a YouTube. It's just my name, Tim Dunderi, Dunderi. I should come up with a cool. I guess I should change that to Tanfo Timmy. I don't know why I haven't done that yet. So I'll probably do that right after we're done here.
There you go. Yes. Yeah, so find him on Instagram, find him on YouTube, hit him up in the DMs. He's, Tim's always on Instagram, even when he's at work. So
my job's not Instagram, man.
I mean, we could make it Instagram. We just need to be one of them influencers.
I mean, some might say I'm trying to influence things right now as we speak, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, we need to do them. Send us free shit, and we'll talk about it. Kind of send me this vacuum cleaner, and I'll tell you how well it picks up dog hair,
or how well it doesn't. I feel like half the stuff you'd end up doing that with is just garbage. But
yeah, true.
Right? Do you want a real review, or are you giving me stuff to say it's great even though it's not?
Yeah, we want those honest reviews.
Right? I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I think people have seen that by now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Now we can thank the listeners. Well, listeners, thank you all for checking out this episode of Manny Talks Shooting with Tanfo Timmy. This was episode, I think, 28, 27. I can't keep track anymore. I'll find out in editing. But anyways, till next time, guys, get out and do the things. We'll catch you on the next one.